At different times of the year, we tend to consider goals, aspirations, difficult decisions, all the hurdles of life that we need to partake in, participate in, move through. And it can be daunting, right? There's a lot of pressure when we consider, what do I have to do? How am I going to do it? What changes do I have to make? School is a great example. Major life decisions, relationships, all these things. Lots of different moving parts in our life. And when we start to focus on deadlines, it can feel like a lot of pressure. Now, let's be honest, there's sometimes when we do need deadlines. There's assignments, work obligations, there are time commitments, there are all sorts of things where there is actually a very specific measure. And that's going to get our anxiety going. We do need to figure out how to keep track of time for those deadlines that exist. But is there some way that we can reframe deadlines? Especially if it's not a clear-cut thing. You know, if it's not a school assignment, work, getting kids to sports or, you know, a party, a wedding, something like that. Those type of deadlines are external and we can make more peace with them. The internal deadlines can be a little trickier. We tend to get more perfectionistic, put more pressure on ourselves. Our emotions get hotter and hotter, and then it can feel really, I don't know, hopeless, powerless, frustrating. So simple reframe that I find can be quite helpful is to consider not necessarily the deadline or the end result, but the milestones, the markers, the points of transition that are going to help us to evaluate whatever deadline that we're trying to get to. Personal deadlines are more gray. You know, sometimes we're weighing out a decision. Should I, shouldn't I, stay here, go, grow more, be content? They're more gray. It's not specific necessarily. It's a hurdle and a challenge that is way harder to weigh. So I typically like to hear myself through, hear other people through. What is this point of contention that feels unresolved, and I'm trying to figure out what do I do to resolve it, and how do we set up a measurable milestone? Milestones are kind of a beautiful thing, and we see these from time to time on the side of a road, maybe in the mountains or by the ocean. Sometimes people stack these stones up. When I was traveling in Israel years and years ago, I just fell in love with the idea of milestones, that is a piece that different cultural groups will use to set a point of reference. Something significant has happened, and that has changed things for me. So if we project a milestone, I have a major life decision. I'm going to set some different ways that I'm going to move towards this decision. And in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, I will set a milestone. So I know there's a specific date, November 15th, January 1st, March 12th, all different types of dates that could be associated with a milestone. That's my marker that I'm walking towards. And at that place, I'm going to see what changes have occurred. How have I processed? How have I shifted? Have I moved towards one decision more so than the other? How have I seen my life circumstances, the people around me, all of these different factors to contribute to my yes or my no? And when I arrive at my marker, whatever date it is, then I can evaluate how I set another marker. In the meantime, when we're moving towards this milestone, we can then also sort of see, maybe we arrive earlier to our decision because we've taken off the pressure. I'm not hyper-focused on deadline and a requirement that I believe I should have some sort of static understanding. It's more accepting the ambiguousness that I just don't 100% know for sure, and that's okay. Our core decisions are something internal. And they can feel vague because they can be vague. Let's move through it. Let's set up something in our future that can help us to evaluate what direction we're actually moving in. Take care.